working on a project just outside of Coquitlam Gate called the Slade Creek Enhancement Project. Slade Creek is a combination of some groundwater and some ephemeral creeks. It turns into a creek that runs almost all year. The forest adjacent and around the Slade Creek project is a young forest that was logged approximately 20 years ago. But with a little bit of help, a little bit of restoration, we feel that it can really be quite productive in terms of amphibians, fish, and wildlife.
A new drinking water disinfection facility is being installed nearby, and the construction plans include improvements to the area. Just outside the watershed fence is a fish-bearing stream. Over the decades, its side pond has become clogged with silt. Careful excavation will expand the size and depth of the side ponds. Then woody debris and plants will be strategically placed.
The purpose of the design is to enhance fish habitat. In terms of amphibians, this will likely provide better habitat because there'll be more of a pond which could be used for breeding. And breeding habitat is always an important niche in the environment. There aren't a whole lot of breeding ponds in this area from what we've looked at.
In order to create new, larger ponds, some of the nearby habitat must be excavated. Animals living there will be moved first.
We prefer to try to protect habitats, but when we are going to change habitat, we want to move them so we don't crush them with the machinery and violate the Wildlife Act. Because of the Wildlife Act, we are required to minimize the death of animals, the mortality of animals. So projects often have a salvage component of them.
The idea is to inventory and salvage so that these small mammals won't be harmed during construction.
Before the excavators are brought in, a sweep takes place. 2 days of hands and knees amphibian hunting.
Today, there's quite a bit of activity in the 400 square meter site. We had approximately 7 crew members turning over rotten wood, turning over logs, looking under bark, and through the sword fern. Although it looks destructive, some of these logs are going to be moved and altered during construction, so it's better to do it now rather than later so we can try and save these animals.
So what do you think? Good spot?
Yeah, let's put the northwest salamander there, kind of tucked away.
Okay.
They're finding slugs, tree frogs, and salamanders. So far, no sign of the rare Pacific sideband snail, but they do find a red-legged frog listed on the Species at Risk Act as a concern.
What you got? What you got?
Salamander
Oh, nice. Yeah.
with a yellow stripe. When you find one, then it's exciting and it's rewarding.
Oh, cool, that's a long-toed salamander. It certainly sounds silly. It's not, though. It is really important. A lot of these species are sort of forgotten because they're small.
Okay.
The other activity underway is the week-long search for the endangered Pacific Water-Shrew.
The Pacific Water-Shrew has hairy feet which help him swim around in the water. So it's found in and around smallish streams. And historically, there has been a water-shrew found within the Coquitlam watershed, which is why it's important to look for them here.
The rare animal has not been seen in this specific area, but since the moist habitat is somewhat suited, they must search.
We're almost halfway through. Yep.
The area boundary is enclosed and humane traps are set up at 13 sites.
Pitfall traps are 1-gallon buckets. We put at least 3 mealworms in every trap so that when they do fall into the trap, they have bedding, they have food, shelter, and cover.
And the Sherman. Oh, look at that.
A motion sensor camera is set up to capture the moment in case a Pacific Water-Shrew is found.
It's because of the metabolism rate of the Pacific Water-Shrew, they have to be checked every 6 hours. So 0600, 1200, 1800, and 2400. You have to be very shrewd to catch these guys. You have to think like a shrew to catch a shrew. I've been very surprised at how many living things we've been able to salvage, and it makes you feel good. I think the crew is very satisfied. They go home at the end of the day, they always have smiles on their face that they've actually saved some living organisms, and they get it.
In the end, no Pacific Water-Shrews were found. But the team is confident the new habitat's shallow pools and gentle sloping edges will be the perfect place for many amphibians and mammals to call home.
Come on, there you go.